Hi everyone, a very good evening. Great to see everybody here. Just before we start, if you can hear me loud and clear, I appreciate you just drop a H into the chat box so that I know everyone can hear me loud and clear. Just type H so that I know that you can all hear me. Okay, thank you for the response. So what we would like to do is we're going to take a course photo right now. I know not everybody is in. We're going to try to grab as many people as we can, after which we'll try to grab another one at the end of the course for those of you who come in late. So what I need you to do right now is, if you could, there are 4 pages of us right now. Okay, and I would like you to switch on your cameras if you could. And I'm trying to find our own guys as well. Abe, where are you?
Abe is there.
Yes, too many people. Okay, so I hope you guys are in. Maybe you want to switch on your cameras. Just give me a second. Okay, cameras on, everyone. Cameras on. So I'm going to go page by page. Okay. So just keep smiling, ready, and smile. That's the first one. Don't move. Okay, next bunch of you, ready and smile. Okay, don't move. Page 3. One more time. Cameras on, ready and smile. Abe, you're not smiling. Okay, and then the last page. Last page. Cameras on. Keep smiling, everyone. Ready and smile. Nice. Okay, we've got everybody in. Okay, so what's going to happen right now? I warmly welcome all of you back in again. For those of you who just joined us, this will be the final installment after 6 days, and today will be the 7th day. And what's going to happen is we're going to slight switch in the schedule. We will be looking at community events. So without further ado, I am going to hand this over to Harish, who will be giving you a little more information. I'm just going to spotlight him for everyone so that you can see him. Okay. And Harish, please, all yours.
Okay, so hello, very good evening to everyone. Welcome to the last day of the ITF community program supported by Tamil Nadu Triathlon Association, Garmin and SOCNI. It's great to see good number of participants even on the last day of this course. It clearly shows the community is hungry to learn and progress. My name is Harish Prasad. I'm looking after the development aspect of the sport for the Indian Triathlon Federation. As you know, so Eugene, you're changing? Okay, so yeah. As you know, the As you know, the sport will grow only when we have regular competitions at different locations with different age categories, different distances, etc. But most importantly is conducting the event in good standard. So it's good to see some of the event organizers have also joined in for this session on my request. So thanks a lot. I will ensure to keep this topic very informative so you know what we are looking for in an event. So today I will be talking about the processes of event sanction, benefits of sanction, recommendations, a way to attract sponsors and partners for your event, an opportunity to conduct a qualification event ahead of the next year, Commonwealth Games and Asian Games, our technologies and how you can make use of it, organizers checklist, and the national ranking calculation step, and then our tentative calendar for the year. So let's move into the first point that is on ITF sanctions. So once you agreeing to our MOU, so basically this document explains what things you as an organizer has to do and what the federation will do. It's very straightforward and clear a document. It's not like a legal document, but it's an understanding between the federation and the race organizer. So after you sign and send this back to us, we then look forward to getting the course map with all the details like where the transition is set up, aid station, bike course, run course, finish line, where all you're going to place your timing mats, etc. Basically a detailed course map. Comparing with the industry standards, we're charging a very nominal fee to get or to give your sanction, which is 10,000 rupees. Along with the course map, we also expect road blocking permissions, approvals from local body to conduct the race, and so that there is no interference of the public or officials during the event. Imagine after doing all the hard work, if the local body tries to stop the event due to some lack of approvals, that would be very bad. So once these documents are submitted to us and it's are in good standing, then we then publish the event on the calendar. Of course, I understand that all the above points are ongoing processes and cannot be obtained like overnight, but we want to just see that the process are being followed. If it is heading towards the right direction, we will certainly publish the event on the calendar and, move forward in promoting your event and opening registration. So let's see. Right. So the next slide. Right. So let's see what are the sanction benefits for the participants. So whichever type of ITF race that you participate, whether it be a short distance event or an endurance distance event, based on your finishing position, you will be awarded points, which is then used for national ranking calculation. Once you secure points in each event, you will see progress in your national ranking, which will be then considered for selections for, selections of Indian events and international event participation. There are over 300 World Triathlon Open events around the world, which anybody can participate with this. But this ranking just gives us an indication to proceed further. So what I mean to say is once you take part in ITF races, we can have a look at your performances and then we could even register you for World Triathlon ranking events that are held around the world. As we are the recognized body for triathlon in India, the certificates provided by us are only considered for college admissions, job applications, scholarships, etc. Similarly, our letters can also be used as a waiver for additional baggage charges in aircraft, and you will not be hassled when you're traveling for an event. All your stats and timing records are also being archived in our official website, which can be accessed by anyone, anytime, and again, which will be considered as a legitimate. As you can see, everything that I've mentioned does have a great value add. So when you take part in an event, ensure that it is an ITF event. So you're not just participating in a triathlon event, but your efforts are put in the right direction. So as many people suggest, as many people, not suggest, say, it's not just about working hard and competing, but being in the right place in the right time is very, very important. So take part in the right races. That will make a difference. Moving on to the sanction benefits to the organizers. I'm sure the organizers who are listening to the session must be asking, what is it in for us? I've got it covered, guys. So here are your benefits. So apart from listing it in the official website and announcing to the public, we provide different letters for your, for your event need, like sanction letters and request letter from ITF, which can be used for various approvals and permissions from local authorities. Trust me, guys, a letter from the federation is always considered over a request letter from a private organization, which comes on, even if it comes on your letterhead. So as you know, our social media pages are growing fast, and the entire community is looking at our page. We can increase your event entries and visibility when we post on our social media pages. We will also do constant mailers to our authentic database, which will again encourage participation and increase visibility of your event. Once the race is completed, we will write to the Press Trust of India with the results, pictures, and videos. Basically, Press Trust of India (PTI) is a parent body for print and digital media. So they circulate the event details to all the print and digital media organizations in India. And the last thing is, before point is about if you need any technical assistance, we can also provide certified technical officials or volunteers for your event who will be able to take care of all the rules and regulations. And lastly, you can use our logos for your promotional materials, which I'm confident that will increase the credibility of your event. Next slide. Okay, so our recommendations. Let's look at the recommendation. Some of you are already conducting your events with these specifications, so I will quickly run through this one. So our vision is to win a medal at the Asian Games, then Commonwealth Games, and hopefully by 2024 or 28 we will have Olympic qualifiers. Of course, we are part of the Asian Games and the Asian Beach Games and South Asian Games and National Games. All these events have either Olympic distance or sprint distance, and they also have the mixed team relay. So, which is considered as one of the most exciting format of the event. So we request you to have short distance races, which finishes before the day starts. When I say the day starts, it can easily finish by 10 o'clock if you're starting by 6:30, and easier for a local body to give you permissions. Many just have open events, which I find it very vague. When a budding triathlete looks for an event to participate, and if we need to broad base the sport, we need to have different age categories in each event. So we suggest you to have junior, elite, masters, and also include fun event, which I'm sure you will see good numbers in the category, that is family triathlon. Once this family takes part in the triathlon race, I'm sure they will get glued to the sport. This is a pure fun event, so keep the distance very short. There is no specification or specific distances as such. So just keep it easy so anyone can compete. Many events also finish in a day. Like when I say a day, there will be maybe a pre-race briefing on that would be day 0, and then there will be a race day. So if you have done a lot of if you've done a lot of setup especially the production setup, don't waste it just for, one day. Conduct a multi-sport event on the next day, that is on the day 2, so you can get participations from, other communities. Like people from the cycling background would look at taking part in duathlon events. Swimming background athletes might be interested in aquathlon events as well. I know this point, holding an event in open water is not that easy. It requires a lot of planning and arrangement, but I can promise you that the overall experience will be memorable, and it gives a great exposure for our athletes who are looking at participating in international events. Again, and the last point is, again, planning an event in a tier 2 or outskirts of a city is ideal. Easier to obtain all sort of permissions. You can even avoid public interference. Roads will be nicer as well. Right. Okay. Money, and money. Something every organizers run for until the last day. Until the race start day, I would say. There are so many ways of obtaining sponsorships. I have been involved in sponsorship for very many years now for various events and initiatives. I would have, if even I may have raised over 20 crores and dealt with governments, corporates, brands, and individual donors. But trust me, it is not easy. And points listed here are some of the key aspects that I personally feel that will certainly hold, in the sponsor's mind. So let's look at point 1. Sponsors look for, the credibility of the event, whether it is recognized and sanctioned by the right bodies. This not only stops with ITF guys, but also, recognized uh, by even tying up with the local government, and sports development body will hold a lot of credibility for your event. So um, when you're looking at having an event, find out who are your uh, local authorities, and do submit in letter. Try to have their partnership, so you could, the minute you make them part of your event, it makes life easier. Next point is yeah, cause, vision, and goal. Anyone who puts in money looks to be part of something that is going to make a difference in, you know they will look for a difference. Guys, cricket and maybe a couple of other sports are of a different league, where sponsors are uh, not just queuing up they're just queuing up to, advertise and, increase their sales or revenue. Whereas we triathlon, we can't sell our ad spots and branding benefits. It doesn't work like that. We need to sell a cause, a vision that will make a difference in that sport or a community, a good initiative. These are the things that I feel a sponsor will look at giving money for a triathlon event. For example, I'll give you a scenario. You can pitch to a sponsor saying your aim is to broad base the sport, a grassroots development initiative. How you're going to do it is by having multiple distances, races for multiple age categories like youth, juniors, elite category. So the event is not just not just for the triathlon community, but you are engaging, cycling community, running community, and the swimming community as well. Through every event, you can actually pitch saying through every event you will be broad basing the sport, which is considered also as a grassroots development. These are the words that they would love to be part of, the sponsors. So this will certainly catch the attention of sponsors, certainly. So do an event with a cause, vision, and a goal. Third point is, end of the day, sponsors look forward to connecting with their customers, which is basically participants of our events, by basically displaying the logos or advertising or giving away products or services, their services. I mean, it'll be an icing on cake for them when they have an opportunity to showcase all the age groups, showcase their brand to all the age groups from kids to adults. That's one of the reason why marathons are attracting sponsors, because so the event is for kids, youth, juniors, elite, and masters. So have multiple distances and age categories. As you all know, tourism is down due to COVID, and as the situation is getting better, hopefully, fingers crossed, the tourism board is making a lot of initiatives, making a lot of change, and encouraging partnerships. So target an iconic location for your event and involve the tourism board, the local tourism board. They can, take you to the places. Trust me, they have connections with the government, with all sort of authorities. And these are also good bragging rights for brands to say that they did this event in a marquee location rather than saying I just did another event in a swimming pool. Of course, who doesn't want more? Everyone wants more. So the longer their logos and advertisements, the easier to convince. So look at conducting races over 2 to 3 days, like on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, rather than just finishing it on one day. Every brand looks for a long-term partnership. That's what I'm going to talk about in the next point, that is pitch for a series of events in a calendar. No brand would want to be part of one-off event, or to be uncertain whether you will be doing another event or not, right? So when you approach, go with a long-term plan, series of events in a calendar year. Trust me, guys, it works. Everyone who has sponsored for whatever I've asked for has only given money for a series of activities that is spread across the year, not just for one-off event. It has never happened for me. So if it has happened for you, you're very lucky, but I would say you would not be able to sustain, and you will have to keep on, going back again and again. The next point is on celebrities and influences. I know it is expensive, and sometimes you feel it's not worth the effort. But once you have done events across 2 to 3 years, it's time to approach celebrities and influencers who are linked to that sport. That is very crucial. You have to look for celebrities who are active in maybe running, or swimming, or in cycling, or even triathlon. Those are the, you can easily convince them. You would be able to share the message or share the cause to them little more easily than a normal celebrity. So reach out for the celebrities. Once you have some sort of an idea in terms of how you're going to conduct an event, and once you are wanting to go to the next stage, trust me, their message and promotion spreads like fire. And again, sponsors look to be part of events which has visibility already. Can't emphasize more on the last point, that is on social media. But something I've always say to my team is to be seen in social media 100 days before the event. You need to draw a plan of what post you're going to do that is going to be published for the next 3 months. Go through the process without looking at instant results. You can't get instant results. For example, if you're looking at entries, and if you've done promotions for 1 month, you're not going to get it. But over a period of time, social media will save you and do the needful for your events. Especially if you're looking to do it again and again, being in social media is very important. Okay, the next slide. Yes, you read it right. You can conduct a qualification race for ITF to pick the squad for the next year's Commonwealth Games and Asian Games. Following are the prerequisites if you want the federation to sanction your event as a qualification event. I don't know whether you realize being part of the qualification race for major games is more exciting for an athlete or even a sponsor than being part of another race in the calendar year. So as mentioned before, the major games have short distance races and relay event. So events with sprint distance and standard distance are considered as a qualification event. The next point is to give adequate exposure. We want the swim course to be on the open water with clear details of course like the tide, depth, water temperature, etc. So there is no surprises during the event for the athletes. As you know, almost all short distance races are, draft legal. And so only road bikes will be permitted with clip-on tri-bars. Aero bars are also, considered dangerous. Maybe Pooja or Pragnya can step in and explain why the logic behind banning of aero bars or TT bikes in a draft legal race is not permitted. Pooja or Pragya, please.
Yeah, so over here, as we all know that those TT bikes have quite longer and open aero bars. So in case of any accident, those bars could get inside the other person's body, or it could harm your own self also. So that is one of the reasons to not to use those kind of aero bars in draft legal races. You can use aero bars in World Triathlon, but that should be covered from the front side, and also it should not have length longer than your hoods. It should be within the length of your hoods.
So. And one more thing also, I read somewhere, I don't know whether it is right, but they said when you drive on using an aero bar, it's difficult to switch to brakes, especially when you are, driving.
Yeah, if you are into drafting mode, then if you are the leader, you can use your aero bars, but rest of the people, from the second athlete to the last athlete in this entire bunch, should not be using aero bar at all, because you cannot use your brakes while you are on aero bars, and it could be very, very risky in case of emergency. So that is another reason.
Yeah. So for all these reasons, we will not be permitting TT bikes, or we will be only permitting road bikes with an aero bar which is not protruding over the hood, as Pooja explained. And all the races should be draft legal, because that is what it would be in the Commonwealth Games and Asian Games. The next point is on the accuracy of timings. For the accuracy of timings, the event should be, timed using an active or a passive chips. We cannot compensate on this one because when we are looking at timings, we need the best one is using an automated active or a passive chips. There are various vendors, various providers across India now. You can easily access to them, and I see few of them. Race time. Rajesh is here already. It's great to see you here, Rajesh, and being part of this. So you can reach out to him as well, and there are other facilitators as well. The next point is on safety. Safety should have actually been the first point. As athletes will be giving their best effort in these qualification races, the safety arrangement should be given, should give them the confidence to perform better. So as an organizer, please arrange for ambulance with AED. AED is basically automated external defibrillators. It's a life-saving device to athletes experiencing sudden cardiac arrest. Also, you need to have physios, motorboats, not just pedal boats, motorboats, so that in case of any emergency, they can quickly reach to that spot. and of course lane and road blocking, so there is no interference of public vehicle or people. The next point is on cutoff timing. So of course, as you see here, the cutoff timing is still generous enough for you to complete. It's not that tough, but we want it to be followed, and we will be, of course, updating this as and when we have events in the calendar. To start with, we will be following the displayed cutoff timings. Also the event should be having a certified ITF official who will be handling all the proceedings with regard to pre-race briefing, rules, penalties, finalizing the results, etc. So, and a representative from the federation should be invited or will be part of the the qualification race. The last point is on adequate officials. Even if you arrange timing chips and mats, you need to have adequate number of officials for manual timing, spotting violations, etc. You can completely rely on you can't completely rely on the technology. So manual timing should be taken for contingency. Moving on to the next slide is on ITF technology. So our ITF wing is developing various technical elements, technological aspects, which is going to be part of the website, the official site, where you can list our event on our calendar with all sort of details, instead of you building a website and spending every time on cloud storage or updates or etc. You can collect entries with the fee that you want to have through our website. Again, instead of registering with a third-party site like Eugene or there are so many third-party sites which are used for events and paying a transaction commission, you can use ITF system to collect the entry fee without any transaction charges or commission. BIM numbers at start list are instantly generated and by the system itself as per the the guidelines, so you don't have to bother about it at all. Participants also, when they register or look into an event, they get to see who's participating, their profiles and their performances in just click of button. And most importantly, data aspect. As athletes, you must be submitting, you will be submitting, various personal information to an organizer or to an organization. You do not have control, nor the race organizer will have control, but they can do a lot with your data. Hence, why they are, hence that's one of the reasons why they're offering at free of cost. So I'm not going to stress on this point, but you have the right to protect your personal data, which will be provided by us. It's not just ITF who provides this data protection for athletes, but all other federations, as per the sports code, they have to protect the subscribers or the members' data. So basically, we cannot sell or use your personal data for anything apart from triathlon. But whereas when you submit it for at an event site, which the race organizers do not own, or you don't own, you have no control of the data. So submit your details at the right place. And the last aspect, moving on to the next slide, is on the checklist for the race organizers. Checklist keeps changing based on every course, but I've kind of listed almost everything that is required to conduct a quality race. Eugene, can you just open the Excel sheet, please, just for the viewers to have a glance of it. Yeah. So it has all sort of informations in terms of what sort of arrangements you need to do if it is in an open water or sea or water arrangements. Scroll down a little bit, Eugene. Road arrangements and things like things like if you're doing it at in a beach or this thing, the things to have on jellyfish, various details. So this list is available on the Federation website under conduct and event section for you to download. With this part, I will finish, and I'm happy to take any answers or any questions and clarify your doubts. And Eugene, if you have anything, please do add on.
Hi, thanks, Harish, for that. I think we have a question before I add in a little bit about this. So the first question that was asked on the chat was, when will be the next ITF age group junior youth national championships?
Yeah. Eugene, I think there's one more slide on the tentative calendar.
Oh, okay. So let's go to that.
Yeah. As you see here, as the COVID situation is getting a little better, I hope it reduces. If not, there is a third wave. We can guarantee there will be 6 to 8 short distance races across the country before next year, before the major games. We will be certainly having many mixed relay events and multi-sport races like aquathlon and duathlon as well, along with triathlon event. Already Tamil Nadu Triathlon Association has submitted proposal to conduct 4 races, starting from September. So you will see the event that will be one of the qualification race for the next year Commonwealth Games and Asian Games. So do check our website, and next week it should be up, and it will be also listed on the social media. ITF will be certainly conducting multinational, multi-sport national championships for juniors and elite. As all these years, you would have just taken part in either one of the event, like either maybe a triathlon or an aquathlon nationals. But this year, certainly, we will be having a triathlon nationals, a duathlon nationals, and aquathlon nationals for both juniors and elite. And we're looking at, doing this by end of the year. So you will be able to, you'll be prepared by taking part in few races before taking part in a national championship, because that will have a lot of value add for finishes. We will also be selecting few endurance races and sanctioning them, though that is not our main forte, but we understand that's where the major community participants are. So we will be looking at taking part or being part of endurance races organizers as well. We are also in discussion with a few other countries for exchange program, like Philippines, and maybe with the help of Singapore. Eugene, we could do something with in Singapore as well for training and event participation. When I say event participation, we are discussing with organizers where they would be able to provide accommodation for a couple of athletes, who would be going and representing India in open races. So things like that. So hopefully, the situation continues to get better in India, and you will see, even the reason why we have not published, or we are not authorized to publish, is many states do not have government order to conduct events, even without spectators or anything. There are so many different SOPs, like you need to be tested, you need to be self-quarantined, or you need to be quarantined for 7 days before taking part in events. So there are so many different rules. But I think it would only make things or rather it would make things impossible for organizers to do if we have such sort of rules. So we are waiting for the situation to get a little better. And once, of course, there are a few states who have already announced who's healing in terms of COVID, has announced that they can conduct events. So one of the states is Tamil Nadu. So that's how we have come up with an event in September. So you will see an event on the calendar, and the registrations will be opened, and this will be our tentative event calendar.
Thanks, Harish. So there's also another question with regards to cost. So Pooja, you asked this question: how much does it cost for sprint and standard distance? Are you asking from a sanctioning fee side, or are you asking cost in terms of actual logistics? Pooja, do you want to send us a bit of information on that? While you're doing that, okay, so organizing, I think Pooja, we can't really give you, Harish, correct me if I'm wrong, we can't really give you an amount right now. It's very subjective, depending on location, resources, but maybe Harish, is there a ballpark figure?
Sure, it just depends on where you're conducting. As Eugene said, if you're doing it in a closed environment, like in a university or in a place where there is no interference, the cost is much, much cheaper, trust me. So look for something like that if you're starting off something. For example, in Tamil Nadu, the next event which they are looking at doing it in, it's inside basically a medical college which has a man-made lake, which has good roads and everything. So the cost comes to is about 5 to 6 lakhs. And they have estimated entry fee collection entries of about 150 odd, which kinds of takes care of about 3 lakhs, half of the expense. But Pooja Vishnubai Thakkar, if you can write to me, I would be able to give you a budget format, a template where you can basically fill in the approximate number of athletes, and it will automatically tell you what would be your budget. I can send it across to you if you write to me in terms of where you're going to do your event and etc.
Harish, hi. Can I ask?
Yes.
Yeah, hi. This is Kapil here.
Yes.
Yeah. So my question is that, I'm in the process of organizing some events, but the biggest hurdle which I found was that in conducting the swimming part, the open water swimming part, which is actually, which becomes very, very tough. Cycling course, running course is of course possible. You can have loops around. You can find a place of 5 to 10K and you can kind of get this done. But swimming is a huge. So my suggestion is that, is it possible for you guys to give us a sort of guideline, or maybe tell us, what are these open water places which are safe or which are feasible, so that we do the other way around. Rather than we scouting for places, we know that, okay, this can happen at X place. So then we go and conduct events
there. I get your point. Only thing is, if you ask me at this stage, I would say I would only look for places which I know. But of course, interacting with some localates and when you train and go to different locations, you might spot some courses which would be apt for swimming and cycling and running as well. So I think exploring is the only best way. And of course, in terms of what all things to be arranged in a swim course, we can guide you, but to tell you where exactly to be done, there are India is a huge country. I don't know, it's got so many districts and cities and lakes, ponds, rivers. It's very difficult to narrow down and tell you. So I can certainly help you in what all things to be arranged an open water swim course.
Other thing, maybe you can help us. See, a lot of big companies, they have their own management centers and training centers, and I know, I remember I visited Infosys Training Center a few years back. So it's a massive campus, right? So you have a good pool, a good place to, do cycling and running events. So can we look at some corporates, who got
Sure.
this infrastructure in place, so things
Sure,
become
sure.
easy. All we need is infrastructure, right?
Yeah.
We'll manage the show.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
infrastructure is there, so yeah.
True, as I said, though I have had a slide which mentioned about the qualification races and the requisites, and if you are starting something, doing it in swimming pool is the most easiest and the best way. I think that makes life easy, and then only once when you have more experience, then you can, or once you spot a open water where you are confident in conducting it, you could look into it. Of course, we need to use of all sort of water bodies which are not dangerous, or which are in good conditions for triathlon events.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, I've got one last question for Harish, and I think it's a very valid one. So Kevin asks, when looking at sanctioning of events, is there a need to go through the state federation first, or is it a collaborative work, or how should they go about it?
It's it can be done simultaneously. As Kevin, I've already given you my access, and I'm always available 24/7 to speak anything on triathlon and to take the sport to the place where it deserves. So I'm always there to help. And of course, you need to, we will give you the direction in case if you do not know the local state association. So we will guide you on who to write to and who to approach wherever you are. I mean, whether it is in Maharashtra or Delhi or Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Goa, we have state units, and we can direct you to the right authority and give you a guidance on what to write and seek their approval.
Sure. Thanks, Harish.
Okay, thanks for that. I'm just going to wrap this up, give you a little bit of ideas from what Harish has briefed everyone. So this is from my perspective, from a development perspective, and I hope to give you a bit of encouragement to look at some of the possibilities when we're looking at events itself. So for event organizers out there, or even possible academies or schools or even coaching groups, I think always look at community where you're trying to grow it from a grassroots point. As a very neutral perspective, I think there's huge potential in grassroots, and grassroots would really mean total beginners, the youths, and even trying to integrate it into the schools itself. Now, Harish has mentioned this before, keep it short and bite-sized. After the break later, I'm just going to flash up one of the new formats that's not under World Triathlon, but it's by Super League, and it's really very short distances that can actually appeal, especially to beginners and the young. Now, that said as well, triathlon itself is very flexible, so it doesn't have to always be swim, bike, run. One of the things that just now some of you asked about is we could actually look at it having maybe a short pool swim followed by a run. It can be done with a pool and a track side by side, and this is something which is very attractive for schools and young kids. So multi-sport can also mean not just swim and run aquathlon, but it can also be duathlon. So it can be run, bike, run. There are also even possible formats where it's called an aqua bike, where there's a swim and a bike. So try to mix the formats up, okay? This has been, the next point has been clarified very clearly. So communicate and collaborate with ITF. I think Harish and the team from ITF will be the best people to give you the advice on how to proceed, rather than to see as that the ITF is trying to do more than what we are currently doing in that sense. Okay, so I encourage you all to have that open discussion. I think Harish has always have that email up, and I'll just show you the email. You can just email in anytime to Indian Triathlon Federation at gmail.com, and I'm pretty sure Harish or anyone from his team will be able to get back to you ASAP. Okay, yes. Harish also just dropped his personal email in the chat box. So get in touch with him. And for aspiring event organizers, I think this is something you should look at. Now, before I just close this and we go for a short break, I would like to encourage you something very unique with the COVID situation. This is a global issue. Now, the entire world has come to a stop, especially in Asia, for the last 18 plus months because of COVID. Now, this would be the best time to actually get all your plans in place with the federation, because the moment the doors open, there is going to be a tremendous influx of people looking for opportunities to race. Trust me, some of you are already been through that situation. There has been no sport for the longest time in India. So what better time than to do it than to be actually connecting with your federation, ITF itself, and get that documentation and process starting. So this is just a very obvious note for all of you to take note. So while we are all now just waiting for things to happen, take the opportunity, hop on, try to get on a call with ITF, and I think they'll be able and happy to help you out with that. Okay, any questions so far? Otherwise, this is what's going to happen. I am going to drop a link into the chat right now. And this is a link for a survey for the course. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a 10-minute break instead of the usual 5. And I would encourage you to help us out, because your feedback means a lot to us to improve ourselves. Give us your honest feedback of how we can improve, or what you like or you don't like through the survey. And in 10 minutes, I'll see you after your stretch break and the survey, and we'll come back to the final portion for the evening. Okay, I've just dropped the link in. The tail end is ITF Community Program CP, July 21. Appreciate that if you can click onto that. There are 106 of us here. I hope to get the majority of you giving us a reply. Otherwise, the time now is, I have no idea what time it is now in India. I've lost track. It's Sunday, guys. So
6:03.
Thank you. And let's come back in 6:13. Thanks, Pooja. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Once again, thanks for filling up that survey form. If you haven't done so, we'll drop it back in the chat box again shortly before the day ends. So before we go to the next topic, this is just to give you some idea of what's happening apart from the long distance races around the world. I'm just going to very quickly share a clip. If you do not know what the Super League is, it's not a World Triathlon event. But it gives you an idea that they go with a Grand Prix style racing format, where it is not only for elites, but it's also open to age groupers. So it's done usually in a very small, compact course, and these guys run it in a swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run format 3 times in a row. Distances are super short. So I'll just share you this clip, which we have had back in Singapore 2 years ago before the COVID hit. This event was done in the Cove in Sentosa. So if you watch the movie Crazy Rich Asians, this would be the craziest place in Singapore. So the top 0.5% of the guys in Singapore live here. And it's very interesting because they did the race in the marina, and the bike course is actually around the cafes. So it's pretty crazy. Not exactly the best place to do a race, but because it was an elite race, it was pretty cool. So I'm just going to very quickly flash my screen up, and it's going to take a short 2 minutes before I hand it over to the Para side. And so drop a yes if you can see my screen. Drop a yes in the chat if you can see my screen. Okay. Let's go.
Let's get things underway in the men's eliminator, and here we go. A clean start and a good one. Hauser and Skuman trail Polyansky, Zefiris, and leading out of transition and through a bit of traffic is Igor Polyansky. Well, it didn't take long. Vincent Lewis.
He's got a flat. It's definitely a flat tire. Here he is.
He's having all sorts of trouble.
Hayden Wild first out. Ben Canute. Henry Skuman.
Well, the 24-year-old qualifier from Poznan. He's an emotional racer. He puts it all on the line and he wins the stage from Skuman, Brownlee, Wild. By the look of it, Vincent Lewis is out of the eliminator. Anything could be as we head into stage 2. Skuman, though, out of the water, has a quick look around and sees Tommy Zefiris right behind him. Henry Skuman, he doesn't want to leave anything to chance as he comes around through transition. We are shaping up to have a very, very interesting race. And we have 2 laps on the run. Hayden Wild first into transition. Richard Murray is streeted them and he will take a stage 2 win and a big boost. Top 10 go through into stage 3 and this is stage 3. It is all on the line and Richard Murray's fallen into the water early. Right, he's just lost his balance and slipped. Skuman slipping out of the water. Canute comes second. He has a big slip. Crowd has built across the course of the day as the temperature has gone down a little bit here in Sentosa Cove.
Hayden Wild really believing he can mix it with these 2.
Again, Hayden Wild, as he did off the bike in stage 2, leads into transition for the final leg. Brownlee who finds another gear again, and it looks like Mislachuk's not going to be able to quite go with him. It's a big, big win for Jonathan Brownlee, who can sense potentially a championship win. Wow. So animated. Johnny Brownlee wins from Tyler Mislachuk, who gave everything.
Okay, so I hope those of you who are keen in events, just look at understanding, sorry for that. Just look at understanding that, try to think about not only the super long distances, but you can also explore some of the smaller, shorter distances that you can tend to attract, okay? That said, thank you very much. I'm going to now invite Pooja to take over the slides. And Pooja, if you may invite our next presenter on.
Yeah, so I'm going to share my screen. So today's topic is Para-Triathlon, which will be led by Pragna. So over to you, Pragna.
Hi, everyone. So this is the last session of our ITF community program. Today, I'll be taking you through an overview of Para-Triathlon. So let us see the essence of Para-Triathlon through a video before we move forward.
Pragna, you're
yeah. Okay, so let us see what are we going to discuss today. So we are going to discuss about para-triathlon, the classification process, the eligibility criteria in accordance to the various impairments, and sport classes, which is the bifurcation of various categories under which para-triathletes are allocated. So now let's go forward. And also about para-triathlon, we have 6 events under which a total of 9 different categories of individual based on their particular impairments are bifurcated. The para-triathletes compete over the sprint distance triathlon, which is 750 meters of swim followed by 20 kilometers of bike and 5 kilometers of run. We have the para event at various World Cups and World Triathlon Series events. There is also a World Triathlon Championship specifically for para triathlon held every year. Para-triathlon was added to the Paralympic Games in 2010 by the International Paralympic Committee. The sport made its first appearance at the Paralympic Games at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games and is also a part of the Tokyo Paralympic Games. So going on the next slide, yes. Okay, so para-triathlon is a multidisciplinary endurance sport that challenges athletes to a continuous race over 3 disciplines, as we discussed, that includes 750 meters of swimming, followed by 20 kilometers of cycling and 5 kilometers of running. The sport is designed to embrace as many athletes as possible while testing a variety of key skills. Competition categories are based on types of impairments. Depending on the category, an athlete may use a hand cycle, tandem cycle, or normal bicycle on the bike course, while wheelchairs are permitted on the run portion. The number of countries currently practicing this are 37. So let us see a video explaining what para-triathlon consists of.
Para-triathlon makes its Paralympic debut at Rio 2016. This modern, dynamic and exciting sport sees athletes compete in the traditional swim, cycle and run, but with some unique differences. Races take place over a 750-meter swim, a 20-kilometer ride and a 5-kilometer run. On leaving the water, athletes can collect assistive equipment from the pre-transition zone prior to arriving in the transition zone. There are 5 sport classes, which 4 are represented at the Paralympics: PT1, 2, 4, and 5. PT1 athletes swim, cycle using a handbrake, and do the run in a racing wheelchair. PT2 athletes have a severe degree of activity limitation, such as double below knee amputation, above knee amputation, or a severe neurological impairment. PT4 athletes have a milder degree of activity limitation, such as below the elbow arm amputation or lower limb impairments. In the cycle, both PT2 and PT4 athletes can use a traditional bike with individual adaptations, which have been approved by the ITU. Finally, the PT5 athletes have vision impairments and compete with a guide using a tandem in the cycle. Para-triathletes, often in the PT1, PT2 and PT3 class, are allowed personal handlers during competition. They can help with prosthetics or other assistive devices, lifting the athletes in and out of hand cycles and wheelchairs, removing wetsuits or clothing, repairs to equipment, and racking bikes in transition. For PT5 athletes, the guides act as handlers. Athletes start together or grouped in waves by sport class and gender. From that point, it's a race to the finish line in this exhilarating parasport, where athletes show incredible strength and endurance.
Okay, so going forward. Yeah, so a lot of you might be interested in the classification process. So we have classifiers who are trained under or certified under World Triathlon guidelines, and they assess an athlete in regards to the eligibility to participate as a para-triathlete. First of all, the athlete should have a permanent impairment, which should be eligible under the World Triathlon list of impairments. For this, the athlete is required to provide medical documentation, which should be in depth in regards to the medical condition of the athlete. Second thing to keep in mind is that a person might have an impairment, but it should meet the minimum impairment criteria as laid down by World Triathlon. This is very specific to each impairment, but there's an entire guideline that is available on World Triathlon website. So whoever is interested, please go through that guideline. Thirdly, once the assessment is done and approved, the athlete has to be allocated under the bifurcation which meets their impairment and the bifurcation list as provided by the World Triathlon. So all these 3 steps need to be done before a person is eligible to take part in any para-triathlon event. Going forward, as we discussed in the last slide, any athlete who wants to take part in any World Para-Triathlon event has to be allocated under bifurcation recognized by the World Triathlon. And for this, the athlete should have 1, a permanent impairment, which should be recognized under the list of impairments given by the World Triathlon. And second is that the athlete's impairment should also satisfy the minimum impairment criteria as listed by World Triathlon. There are many impairment types, and entire listing is available on the World Triathlon website. So I request people interested to visit the website for the entire details. So now moving forward, let us understand the 9 sport classes. So sport classes mean the bifurcation based on the impairment that the athlete has and how will they be allocated. But before that, I am sure some of you are thinking that there are 9 sport classes. Then why are there only 6 event categories? So to answer that briefly, there are 3 types of recognized impairments. First is related to impairment of the limbs. Second, in terms of physical impairment. And the third, in terms of visual impairment. For the impairment of the limbs, we have 2 sport classes, but only 1 race category. For physical impairment, there are 4 sport classes and 4 race categories. For visual impairment, we have 3 sport classes and 1 race category. Now let us understand the 9 sport classes. First, the 2 related to impairment of the limbs are PTWC1 and PTWC2. In both these cases, the athlete should use a hand cycle during the bike course and wheelchair during the run course. Moving forward, the 4 sport classes related to physical impairment are PTS2, PTS3, PTS4, and PTS5. These classes are based on the severity of the physical impairment pertaining to the athlete as per the guidelines of World Triathlon. In all these categories, the athletes are allowed to use approved prosthetics or other approved supportive device during the cycling and the running segment. Now going forward, the third sport class is related to the visual impairment. These are PTVI1, PTVI2, and PTVI3. The 3 classes are based on the degree of visual impairment of the athlete. In all the 3 classes, it is mandatory to have a guide throughout the race of the same nationality and gender. It is also mandatory to ride a tandem bike on the bike route. So these are all the classifications. So as we discussed earlier, the classification process that ITF is developing is on the lines as practiced at the World Triathlon, whereby the athlete will be assessed in regards to eligible impairment and whether it meets the minimum impairment requirement. And if all is good, then to allocate the athlete in the suitable sport class. Next, so to facilitate the entire process, ITF will determine the eligibility of an athlete to participate in para events. And for this, the athlete will be required to provide medical documents in such formats and as may be required. And I would request if Harish could put some light on the ITF end of things for the classification process.
Right, so we will be soon having a registration system for the para-triathletes as well on the triathlonindia.com. Once you complete that, there is a, as Pragya explained, there is a medical certificate that you need to obtain with that it is a permanent, your impairment is permanent. Once that medical certificate is submitted, then you will be permitted to take part in para-triathlon events that are held in India and also held elsewhere. Of course, as many would be asking, there are, I'm not really sure how many para-triathlon events are happening currently in India, but that is certainly one of the area that we're looking at, in adding as another category. But we need to first identify the number of athletes that are there. We are involving the swimming para-triathletes as well, I mean, swimming community as well, who are disabled to be part of the Indian para-triathlon movement as well. So in the coming, but as you know, our first preference has been given to keeping the Commonwealth Games and Asian Games. We are laying a little low on the para-triathlon aspect, but certainly we will be having para-triathlon events along with our short distance races going forward.
Okay, so this is all, and the next slide contains about the documents like the medical letter, if there are any other diagnostic tests relevant to the athlete's medical condition, and if there is MRI required. So all this will be confirmed by ITF. We are making in the process, as Harish told us, in the process of making a list of the documents that will be required from the athlete's end. So once it is up and ready, it'll be available on the ITF website. So that is how the classification process in India will work. And that is all. And now let us see a video that will summarize all the things that we just went through. Now, if you have any questions in regards to para-triathlon, you can ask me. I'll be more than happy to answer. Thank you.
So till we get our para-triathlon questions, there's one question over here. If ITF National and ITF Open Races certificate have same weight for getting job or college admissions, please explain. Does maybe Harish could answer this one?
Yes, of course, indeed. In fact, I mentioned one of this point in my topic. Any job applications or scholarships or government recognition jobs, etc. Everyone just looks for, is it a state championship organized by the state association, or is it a national event organized by or sanctioned by the federation? And for your information, and in case even if there are organizers still listening to this conversation, there is something called unique identification code for each certificate. So this is this is something that each and every federation are supposed to have in the certificates that is offered, or it's whether that is awarded to the participants. So if you notice our certificates, maybe I think it's on the bottom right corner, you will see the certificate identification number. So this is not authorized by private organizers, events, or even if they give certificates, that does not hold any credibility. So again, being part of ITF races is crucial, and having ITF certificates will have a lot of value there.
Thank you, Harish. There's one more question for you. Would we get any support from ITF in terms of equipments for para-triathletes under PTWC and PTS categories?
Yes, certainly, but of course I can't promise anything now. Again, as I said in the beginning, India is a big country. There is a lot of talents. We need to first of all identify these talents, and we will be able to support only for the talents. Our job, primary role is to organize events and give a good platform to express your talent. And once we identify talent, we will be able to provide support. Like I mentioned in the topic, we'll be sending them for World Triathlon races. We will be providing some training where you can go to where we are having an exchange partnership with another country, so you can go and train there. We are coming up with these initiatives, but definitely cannot promise support for everyone. That is something that we are not ready to do, but certainly we will support someone who has a scope to represent India at the major games.
So next question, any category made for one-eyed man? Pragna, would you like to answer?
Yeah, so there are 3 categories under the visual impairment that are categorized as per if you have a full on the severity of your visual impairment. So if you fall under any of those, so the severity ranges from total loss of vision to partial loss of vision. So you need to get first certified by a doctor, and then if you fall under the category, then definitely you can participate under that category.
Yeah, so that comes under PTVI.
Yes, PTVI 1, 2, and 3. So the third one is the less severe one, but they are all in one race category. So you can go to a doctor and get certified, and then one of the classifiers, one of the person who is certified by World Triathlon needs to have a look and then certify whether you can take part or not.
Yeah. Hope that is helpful. Let's move on to next question. Can you please explain the point system in order to get a national ranking? Harish. Harish?
Oh, I don't know how we missed this slide. Eugene, we had this point also.
Do you want me to share that?
Yes, please.
Okay. Can I just pull it up? Yeah, Harish, there you go.
Yeah. Really sorry for missing this one. Really not sure how we missed this. But anyways, I'll just quickly explain this. But if you have any questions, please ask. I believe this is a very simple process. Okay, so every participant in an ITF sanctioned race will get a point based on their finishing position. So if you visit our website ranking section, there is ITF ranking criteria document which is a very self-explanatory document which will give you point-by-point process of calculation. But I'm going to explain it over here. So of course, only for the points are awarded only for the finishes, no points for the DNF and DNS. Once you start acquiring points, so if you, for example, if you have taken part in, let's take 5 races in a calendar year, that is between January to December, only the best 4 races, that is races which has top 4 points, will be considered. It could be from triathlon event or a duathlon event or an aquathlon event, but only the top 4 points are considered, and it is divided by 4, and the average, based on the average, ranking is generated. I mean, ranking is listed every month. And so I've mentioned about calculation processes between January and December. So what happens when you move to a new year, and if you are in the same category, for example, let's take you are a junior who is 16 years old, who has 1 more year in the junior category, you will be getting 33% of the average points from the previous year. So if your average was 100, you will be getting 33 points, 33% when you start the new year. So you will not start with 0, you will start with 33%. But when you are moving to a next category, for example, you're moving from junior to elite, then you will be starting with 0 points. You will have to take part in elite races and earn points and then progress in the ranking. Let me know if you have any questions in this.
Thank you, Harish. There's a question. What is the criteria to participate in ITF National Championship?
So as you know, the old rules are only the state associations will be able to submit the entries. Basically, you know, the top 3, if it is a junior race, junior category race, only the top 3 men and top 3 women will be able to take part. But we are looking at revising this one and keeping it open. But at the same time, we are also debating about, inexperienced or beginners being part of this race, where it could be little dangerous for, elite triathletes or the most experienced or the top triathletes. So we have not really decided the qualification system for participating in the national championship. As I mentioned earlier, it is going to be only later in the year, and before the event we will certainly display or publish all informations in terms of qualification if there is anything. Otherwise, all other national circuit events that are national open events, that will be open for all based on your age group. There will not be any restrictions or qualification to take part in open events that we will be sanctioning across the country.
Thank you, Harish. Pragna, can dumb and deaf participate in triathlon?
So there's no special category under para-triathlon for dumb and deaf. As I mentioned, there are 3 broad categories. First is for the people who have limb problems. They don't have limbs, or they have some big muscle, like muscular problem through which they cannot work with their limbs. The second is the physical impairment, and the third is visual impairment. So as such, we don't have a special category for deaf and dumb. They can obviously participate in triathlon in the normal open category or the elite level category.
Moving on to next question. What is the Olympic qualifying criteria? So for Olympic qualifying, first of all, you have to be in top 100, 150 ranking of World Triathlon. And there are only 55 spots for male and 55 for female. Now the entire qualification happens in a rotational basis, starting from like in alphabetical order, starting from A, let's say from Australia, then maybe Bahrain, and so on. And the maximum slot for any nation is 3 male, 3 female. So till date, what, like as per my knowledge, only Japan could have had maximum number of athletes from Asia to participate in Olympics. Am I right, Eugene?
Yeah. So just to take note as well, if you're looking at Olympic for this round, there were 2 periods of qualification, which stretches over 2 years. And this is taken with the total number of points over 12 races. These races include the WTS Series, the World Championships, Continental Cups, that can be Asian Cups as well as any other Continental Cup around the world, as well as Continental Championships, that means Asian Championships. That said, there's some tricky things that you need to take note. Only the first 50 finishers in the elite field are eligible for points. And apart from being top 50, men need to finish within 5% of the winner, and women needs to finish within the top 8% of the winner. So if you have got a world-class guy coming down doing 1:45 for standard distance, 1 hour 45, that means the next 49 guys in that race needs to finish it under 1:52. So if you are not, even if you are 8th place and you finish in 1:55, you get 0 points and you went for a holiday. So yeah, so that's how tough the field is. So there's only, of all the races, only 12 races, which is either 6-6 or 7-5 or 5-7, where you can accumulate enough points. So World Championship Series, World Championship has 1,000 points, and the deviation of points is 7.5% for each position. So I know it's a lot of details here, but now you all get an idea that that 12 events you're going to be looking at is over 2 years, and these are all world-class races. Right?
And maybe,
yes.
maybe
and
I can...
Yeah, you can talk about new flag also, yes. Harish?
Well, yeah, so maybe I could just give a little more confidence to Dr. Rushil here, because Olympics is a big uphill, as Eugene said. We are nowhere close, but we are part of the Commonwealth Games, which is a major, which is a big event, which is, I think, a lot of governments gives a huge, award for winning a medal. And though, of course, I know Commonwealth Games, Eugene, knowing the nations that are part of the Commonwealth Games, it's very difficult to finish. But just to give you some stats here, guys, in the mixed team relay, in the 2018 Commonwealth Games, there were only 8 teams participated. And that's one of the chances for us to maybe finish top 10 in the next year. And then we are also part of Asian Games, which I have the confidence, despite not being a triathlete or a coach, but I trust in all the athletes and the young guns here, and Pooja and Dr. Kaustubh and Pragya herself will be competing for that position. Asian Games is, I feel, or we as a federation, we feel that there is a good chance for us to finish top 6 in the mixed team relay. And if we really work hard, we have chances of doing well in the individual race as well. But all these events are short distance races, Dr. Rushil. So I think, of course, Olympics is big, but we need to focus on something where we would be able to win medals, and the medal opportunities are there in Asian Games or South Asian Games, maybe beach games also. I'm not really sure how many countries come in, but beach games is another major event where we would be able to win medals. If you put your children, or if you train, if you're a coach and if you're training for them, please focus on these events or these races. And of course, as I said, as I mentioned before, not just training hard and working hard will make any difference or be successful. You need to be in the right place, taking part in the right events and focusing on the right things for you to become successful. And I feel there is a great opportunity. As Eugene keeps telling, India is a huge country, and where we will be able to identify, 3 or 4, talents. I think it's possible. It's definitely possible. There are many coaches here listening to this. Please work towards Asian Games, and then, of course, Commonwealth Games, Beach Games, SAF Games. All these happens once in 4 years, and next year is a big year for us, where we will be maybe first time taking part in the Commonwealth Games, and then followed by Asian Games in August, if I'm not wrong.
And there is one more thing. If your athlete could win medals at Commonwealth, Asian Games, Asian Beach Games, then your athlete might have very good chance to get to Olympics under the new flag category. There's one spot where we have very good chances if our athletes could win medals in such major games. So the criteria for this new flag is there should not be anybody ever participated or qualified from your nation in triathlon, and I feel that's our best chance to get into the Olympics. Eugene, would you like to add anything about new flag?
Yeah. So I think that's one of the things you want to take note as well. Some of the things, as some of you come along, you also know that World Triathlon works with specific coaches and countries to try to get the new flag position. Do take note as well, in our sport of triathlon, there is, unfortunately or fortunately, much more opportunities for women because the field and the women are not as strong across the globe compared to the men. So the last 7 days, you've watched lots of videos and you realize that there are about 50 men out there who are almost at the same level. So it tends to be a little more competitive for the men. And so if you are, again, a coach, I think a good chance could possibly be a female athlete as well. And I'm not, of course, being biased, but based on just the current situation. So don't just, I think it's a good time for you guys to be impartial and really look at talent. As Harish mentioned, I am a very strong believer that with India's population and local talent, you will have candidates once you start putting things together as a country, not as an individual, but as a country, you will get things done. Okay, so Dr. Vishnu, you asked that question. I hope that gives you a little bit of motivation. I'm not trying to pour cold water on you, but it's a reality. Olympic Games it takes a while. Something as well, just to add, Pooja, 2028 initially had plans, but I think it's been pushed back. There are plans to include super sprint distance into Olympic Games one of these days. So Olympic event now has got the standard distance, which is the Olympic distance. They also have the mixed team relays. And something they're trying to push in 2028 or beyond, which would be the super sprint. So yes. It's very much like what you saw just now with the eliminator format. So very short swim, very short run, very short bike, and then there's a heat semi-final. So something like swimming and athletics.
So guys, start practicing for shorter distance. You might get very good chance to get into Olympics also.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So there's a question, junior or above 16 years player can take part in senior event? No, because the elite senior age group starts from 18 onwards.
Just a bit of encouragement as well to guide all of you. I know there are many eager athletes and coaches, and this is what I hope he will come up for. When you hit 18, those of you aspiring to be elite athletes, this is my observation and advice. Keep your juniors racing the short distance as long as you can. Do not be tempted to jump the standard distance because the jump from sprint to standard distance is huge. We have the greatest dropout from sprint to standard distance because at world-class level, the pace of standard distance is faster than the sprint distance times 2. So your athletes need a lot of time to adapt to that change. So I know it's always a very good lure that once you hit 18, you want to be racing the standard distance. My encouragement to you is to keep that junior until he's 19 and take time for him to cross over into standard distance. As you have seen, some of the times we had over the last few days, don't rush into the longer distance because you need a lot of speed, and that speed should be kept and well developed as far as you can. So Pooja, I am not sure if you agree. I hope you do as well, but don't rush into things because once they cross over to the elite, they have a lot more years to race elite.
Yes, I agree with you. So there's Vijayan's question. Let's say I am the current champion of the last event, but my rank was below 10 position. Is there any chance to represent India in the big event? Harish, would you like to answer this?
Okay, so definitely we are not going to pick a team based on one result. We're going to have a squad. We're going to have camps. We're going to have test events. All these counts. Only after that we'll be able to pick. Of course, the ranking will kind of give an indication of where your level is. But when you say and if you're a champion and if you are in 10th position in the ranking, that doesn't sound right. So if you're winning events, you will be automatically, top in the ranking. You'll move up in the ranking. So, so it's not just about one event, which will be deciding your representation in the major games.
Hope that answers your question, Vijayan. Moving on to Tushar. What is the criteria to go from age grouper to elite? For ITF races, you simply have to register yourself under elite category. Of course, the rules and regulations will be displayed shortly, as Harish already mentioned. So you can go through it. Next question. A person with disability wants to protest, like without hands, wants to protest. How would he do it? Of course, you can ask. Yeah, go on, Pragna.
Yeah. So whenever you protest, like a special abled person or a normal person, they have to protest in writing within 1 hour of the completion of the race. So whenever you protest with like you can ask assistance from someone and write a letter and give it to the race director. That is how you protest. So even a person with a disability without hands, they can ask someone, coach or a fellow athlete who has hands, to write a letter and give it to the race director and the jury to see the protest and take action. Yeah.
So, any more questions? What any service provided by ITF? Like what kind of service you are looking for? Amit Kumar.
I think in regards to the same that I answered. I'm sure.
You can ask official. Official would be happy to help. Any more questions for today? So I think that's it for the day.
Okay, best time of the day. So we have got lots of presenters. I'm going to step out of it. So go ahead, guys. We've got 5 questions. We've got Harish and 2 ladies. So go ahead, guys.
Okay, so I'll start it. So what is the distance that para triathletes compete on? Give me the distances with swim, cycle, and run. All that. Okay, so we've already got someone.
Ravi Teja.
Yeah, but what is that? 700 meters, kilometers, 20 kilometers. What is that? Yeah, okay. Chhatrapati Aryan, I think the first person.
Yes.
Yeah, to give me meters, kilometers. Yeah.
Yes.
So that will be it. Okay, so Pooja, next. You can ask.
How many race categories are there in para-triathlon? Like major race categories? There are a lot of numbers. Can you figure out, Eugene? It's going too fast.
6. So the answer is 6.
Okay, that's Ravi Teja.
Yeah, Ravi Teja.
Okay. Prabhat? Prabhat or Harish?
Okay, so I'm still in the mantra of go for Asian Games, go for Commonwealth Games. So I'm going to ask a question related to that. What are the 2 distances, or what are the 2 events that are conducted in Asian Games? No?
So they have to mention the distance?
Standard. Keshav.
Okay, Keshav is right.
Yeah,
no, I think
okay, sprint. Team mixed relay and standard. Yeah. Keshav.
And if
so
you want
so Commonwealth Games has sprint individual for men and women who are 18 plus. So that is elite category, and super sprint distance, that is basically mixed relay, which is a team of 2 men and 2 female. All have to complete swim, bike, and run. And for the Asian Games, it's Olympic distance and the same mixed team relay.
And if you want, the question is there, if you want to use a traditional bike for the event, to whom from you have to get the permission?
Sorry?
If you want to use traditional bike for the event, to whom, from which body you have to take permission for that bike?
For which race, like for national race or international race?
Are you referring to para-triathlon?
No, triathlon, the world triathlon.
Okay.
World triathlon. In terms of world triathlon, you want to use traditional bike. So from which committee you have to take permission?
Yeah. So we got Aryan, but Aryan, I guess he already won. So we move on to Pradeep. Pradeep answered World Triathlon Federation.
It's ITU Technical Committee rather. So
World
Triathlon Technical Committee. 7 days before the event, if you want to use the traditional bike.
So this one is won by Pradeep.
Okay.
Now, Abhay sir, are you there?
Yeah.
Your turn.
It's very easy. Yeah, it's a very easy question. Who will classify para-triathlete?
No, I mentioned this in my presentation. I am not going to classify. I just gave you a presentation.
One of the simplest questions. Still, we are going for doctors.
Someone, I told you, someone who is certified by World Triathlon. Not a certified
member from Para Committee.
But there's a word for them.
The answer is in the question.
Come on. Who will classify a para-triathlete into the classifications, which are the 9 classifications that we saw?
Pragna already gave you a lot of answers by now.
Answer is in the question.
Just listen.
Right.
We hadn't got the right answer yet.
So the answer is classifier. So
Right.
Finally, this time we are here.
Okay, we discard this one. Eugene, last question for you.
Yeah.
That's putting me on the spot. So, okay, I'm going to give a tough one. So this is for Olympic Games. What is the percentage difference of points from the champion? Percentage difference.
For men or women?
Both. It's the same.
Both is the same as the same.
Okay.
What is the point difference between the gold medalist and the silver medalist? Eugene just explained that.
Poonam is near, but...
Poonam is near, yeah.
You're quite near,
but that's not exact. No, not in terms of timing, the percentage, right?
Yeah, percentage.
The percentage of points that the first person gets and the second person, the differential points.
Dr. Rushi, that's for points, total points. But what's the difference between first and second and third? I think you'll go on forever.
Sabdar and Poonam, you guys are quite close.
Now you can't give any more.
Come on, very close, very close.
Yes. Okay,
Harish. That's 7.5.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Was that it?
Yes, we are done with our 5 questions for today.
Okay, cool. So I've just dropped the link for the survey again. I appreciate if you could give us feedback. We can only improve and get better with your feedback. And with this, I'm just going to take a lead before I hand this over to the rest of the presenters. It has been a great 1 week. It has exactly been 7 days. It's a short, long time. What I hope personally is I hope many of you have benefited from this is just community knowledge and generating an interest on the sport. What I personally hope as well is you'll be able to spread the love of triathlon to your friends, family, athletes, those of you from other sports in athletics, swimming, cycling, even in cricket, football, to gain a bit of exposure. I'm very grateful to be able to have this opportunity with the team from ITF. And once again, I think with the confidence, if you have any questions related to the sport or if there's a matter you would like to, drop Harish an email or reach out to their Gmail account. I think that's going to be a very helpful process. For those of you who would still like to be friends with me, I am on all social media platforms except TikTok. Just look up my name, Eugene Lee Coaching. And you'll be able to keep in touch. So I look forward to keeping in touch with everyone. I'm going to hand this back over to Pooja before you hand out the rest of the presenters. Pooja, please, if you want to close it up to the rest of the team.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really had great time with all of you guys out there. You guys have been very, very good colleagues. I would call you all colleagues because I'm looking forward to work with each one of you, whether you are an athlete or event organizer or coach or my team members. So it was really nice working with you, and let's together work and take this community to the next level. It's very easy, like Eugene said, it's very easy to connect to all of us, whether it's Harish, Pragna, me, Prabhat, Eugene, or Abhay sir, or Kaustubh. You can find all of us on our personal accounts at Instagram, Facebook, and also you can contact us through Indian Triathlon Federation also. So looking forward to be in touch with you and work together. Thank you so much. Over to you, Harish.
Yep. On behalf of Indian Triathlon Federation, I would like to congratulate all the participants for turning up in large numbers and making this initiative a great success. A month back or so, when I approached or when I proposed this concept to the ITF management, they immediately said, not just do it, but do it in the best possible way. And the first person who came to my mind was Eugene. I'm sure you would have realized by now how good he was throughout this whole program and in terms of sharing his knowledge and the points that he delivered through this webinar. Then, of course, our facilitators, Dr. Kaustubh, Pooja, Prabhat, Abhay, Pragya, all delivered the content really well. Thank you everyone for making this happen. On the trivia part, all the trivia winners of the last 6 days plus today will receive their goodies in the next 2 weeks. So kindly be patient in case if you have not sent your couriering address, please do send me. I've sent an email to you also in the past, in the last few days. So do reply to my email with your address so we can deliver the goodies of Garmin and Saucony. We will also be mailing you the process to download the ITF Community Program Certificate. So that should be available from next week onwards. So do check your email and do mark my email as important. Otherwise, it might be getting into junk. So look forward, as Pooja mentioned, I look forward to working with you. I will be handling the events. That would be my primary goal to, at this stage, I want to increase the number of events in the country and, build the standard of triathlon and win medals at Asian Games first and, if possible, Commonwealth Games and then all other major games. Thank you so very much. I'm always available, as I mentioned earlier. Just drop an email or send me a message on WhatsApp or call me if I'm available. So I'm happy to support in whatever best way that is possible. Thank you all.
Ragnar.
Okay, so first of all, I want to thank every one of you in joining us for this ITF community program. Had it not been for all of you, this program wouldn't be a success. And secondly, I would also want to appreciate the ITF Development Committee and especially Eugene Lee, who put up such a good show. Like, he developed all the presentations, he gave us what all should we cover and whatnot. And he was always available whenever we had any doubts in regards to the presentation. And thirdly, I am myself an athlete, current athlete, trying to, go for the major championships and everything. So if any of the athletes out there or coaches require, and any input about how you should approach something as an athlete, from an athlete's point of view, I am always available. You can ping me on any of the social medias and I'll be more than happy to especially help athletes in them turning into pros or elite. Thank you.
Prabhat?
Thanks to ITF, Harish, Eugene, and all ITF Development Committee members. It's been a great time with all you guys. And I hope this ITF community program will produce so many TOs, so we get the next all the national events or international events we are going to organize in the coming days. We will get all the good TOs to holding that event. So once again, thanks all. Up to Ajay. Abhay.
You're on mute. Abhay sir, you are on mute.
Hello. Can you hear me? Okay. Thanks all for listening us from last 5 to 7 days. And hope they're saying in English, united we stand. So hope we all are 136 crores in coming in 2020 at Olympics. We sure that there will be 2 or 3 triathletes in Olympics. So, so thanks everyone. Thanks ITF, Eugene sir, Harish sir, and all my colleagues, Pooja, Prabhat sir, and all, Dr. Radkar sir. Thank you.
Thank you all. See you in the next edition. If you like it, we can plan something. Harish, what do you think? We can plan another edition of this after a few months and can have more people on board.
think I can see tired faces and some yawning faces also already. So let's give it a little break. I think they are very keen to compete, swim, bike, and run now. So let's give them the platform at this moment. But of course, I want to make it better and bigger and more informative with regard to community program. But of course, we will be having this. We plan to have at least once in every 6 months. That was our initial plan. Let's see how it goes. I think we had close to 230 registrants for this course, and in an average, we had about 150 participants every day, which is still good. As Prabhat said, one of the key things that we wanted to convey in this is to increase the number of coaches and increase the number of technical officials. Of course, give information to the athletes. So this will be like a pathway for the technical officials and coaches. So I'm hoping that from this group, there will be many people. And if that is really required, we will certainly have, another program in maybe next 6 months.
Eugene, would you like to add any last comments before we leave?
No, I would like to just thank everyone again. Thanks to the team in ITF. I think once again, I'm really honored to be part of this initiative. I hope we have inspired you. Do take care. It's been a long week. See you around, and let's wrap this up. Good night, everyone, and thank you very much. How about with the surveys? Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Pooja ma'am, Pragya ma'am.
Thank you, everybody.
Harish sir and Sharma sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Indian Triathlon Federation.
Bye.
Thank you, sir, Pooja ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for the.
Deshmukh sir. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for that great session.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Informative week, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Eugene sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Pooja ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, the whole team.
Thank you very much, all team of Indian Triathlon Federation.
Thank you, sir.
Abhay sir, thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Indian Triathlon Federation, Eugene Lee sir, Pooja ma'am, respected Abhay Deshmukh sir. Thank you so much. That's a great session.
Thank you, everyone. Very good program. Thank you for giving us opportunity to watch and learn lots of things about triathlon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ITF team, Eugene sir, Pooja ma'am, Pragya ma'am. We are so happy on conducting such a intellectual lectures, and I hope that ITF become one of new era will start on this one.
And ITF committee. It was a wonderful session throughout the week, and it was good and knowledgeable session for our TTA team also. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Okay, thank you everyone. Signing off. Have a great evening. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye, sir.
Bye.